I know the edit makes her look salty, but she's really quite sweet. That's stupid. It's Diabetes Day! I'm Dr. Jake, lover of Drag Race and Sour Patch Kids advocate, but none for Daya.
Much too good for children.
Please like the video and subscribe for more LGBTQ health content. Daya Betty is a contestant on season 14 of Rupaul's Drag Race. She has type 1 diabetes and has done several interviews about her disease. So why am I here? Because you want more! So diabetes. There are 2 types of diabetes. There are 3 types of diabetes. Okay, actually, there are 4 types of diabetes, but type 1 and type 2 diabetes are the foundations for those other types of diabetes. In type 1 diabetes, the pancreas cannot make any insulin. In type 2 diabetes, the pancreas can still make insulin, but your body is resistant to insulin, so it doesn't make enough. For the rest of this video, I am only going to talk about type 1 diabetes because that's what Daya has, but if you want to hear about the other types of diabetes, leave a comment and let me know because I'm happy to talk about diabetes at length. How do you get type 1 diabetes? The way that type 1 diabetes comes about is wild. Usually, you get a cold or another type of viral infection, your body fights off the cold, no more cold, great. But some viruses have little pieces on them that look like the cells in your pancreas called the beta islet cells that make insulin. And your immune system, she's like a little bit racist, like she can't tell cells apart sometimes, she sometimes calls them by the wrong names, and she sometimes attacks cells that she thinks are other cells. So the immune system then attacks the beta islet cells, and once they're destroyed, your body can't make insulin anymore, and you have type 1 diabetes. Racist piece of shit immune system. What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone that's made by the beta islet cells in the pancreas. It does a couple of things. Number 1, it helps your cells to absorb sugar or glucose. Number 2, it tells your cells that it's time to store that sugar by building it into fat and glycogen. You're getting enough fuel from your food, so you can just save some of that for later. And fun stuff, your body is all about balance, so it has another hormone called glucagon. It does literally the opposite of what insulin does. Nuff said. For now.
What are you doing?
I'm making a video about diabetes.
The cats are hungry. You feeding me up?
I already fed them. They're playing you. As usual. Cats, am I right? How does not having insulin cause problems? Instead of going into your cells, the sugar stays in your blood, causing high blood sugar.
Duh.
And that increased sugar sucks the water and electrolytes out of your cells. And then that sugar also goes to the kidneys, where it sucks all of the water and electrolytes into your kidneys, and then your kidneys pee that out. So you become pretty dehydrated. But here's the bigger problem. Remember glucagon? That guy? The one that hates insulin? Glucagon.
And I want to shoot down everything you say so I feel good about myself.
Well, when there's no insulin, glucagon is a monster. Glucagon is like a cat that sees a glass on a table. Without insulin, glucagon cat goes into overdrive. It signals to your body that it's time to break down all the fats, muscles, and glycogen, which is just long chains of glucose that your body has created for storage. And the result of that is ketones. What are ketones? Ketones are an acidic chemical that's made when your body breaks down muscles and fat. Ketones are actually really important for your body. They can temporarily act as fuel if you're literally starving. However, if there are too many ketones in your blood, it causes a condition called ketoacidosis. In diabetes, we call it diabetic ketoacidosis, or DKA. In DKA, glucagon has driven your body to the limit. Your blood sugar is high, you're extremely dehydrated because you've peed out all of your body's water, and your blood is acidic because of the ketones your body has created. People literally die from DKA. The most important treatment for DKA and for diabetes in general is insulin. Insulin gets the sugar out of the blood, pushes the water and electrolytes back into the cells, and gets glucagon cat under control. Are there any other problems that diabetes can cause? One of the biggest problems with diabetes is balancing the amount of insulin that you take with the amount of sugar that you eat. Sure, if you don't take your insulin, you can end up with high blood sugar, but in the short term, low blood sugar is a lot more dangerous, and if you take too much insulin, your blood sugar is going to be low. Low blood sugar can put you into a coma or even kill you. And finding that balance is really difficult. People with type 1 diabetes have to count the number of grams of carbohydrates they eat at every single meal and snack so that they can inject the right amount of insulin to counteract those carbohydrates. And when I say carbohydrates, I mean literally all of them. Candy, bread, rice, pasta, anything with carbohydrates in it has to be accounted for. And if you ever try to go on a diet and count your calories, that's hard enough. People with diabetes have it tough. How do you take insulin? Insulin has to be injected. It can't be taken in a pill form like other types of medication. However, there are a couple of ways that you can give insulin. Now, the body only has one type of insulin in it normally. We call that regular insulin. When someone without diabetes eats carbohydrates, the body shoots out a bunch of insulin to try to counteract those carbohydrates. Also, the pancreas always is producing a little bit of insulin at all times, and we call that the basal insulin. That little bit of insulin that you make at baseline prevents glucagon cat from going crazy and breaking everything down. Now, there are two ways that people with type 1 diabetes get their insulin: an insulin pump and subcutaneous injections, or under-the-skin injections. An insulin pump injects insulin continuously into your fat tissue. It's usually paired with a little sensor under the skin that continuously measures blood sugar levels. The cool thing about the pump is that it can react in real time to those blood sugar readings. You can also input the number of carbohydrates that you're eating into your pump, and then it will shoot out some insulin to counteract those carbohydrates, just like your body does. Advantages: it pretty accurately mimics what your body does with insulin. You only need one type of insulin, and you don't need a ton of needle sticks throughout the day. Disadvantages: that sugar sensor, it's not just to set it and forget it. You have to calibrate that thing throughout the day by taking your blood sugar. It's also easy for the pump to malfunction. There are so many things that can go wrong. The tubing can become clogged. The blood sugar sensor can be miscalibrated. The blood sugar sensor can just fall out, or the pump can just fall out of your tissue and you have to re-inject it. Or the machine can just not work for some reason, like the batteries can run out, or it can just have a malfunction. And if that pump stops, you have no insulin in your blood, so glucagon cat has free reign and can start breaking stuff down. And finally, if you're playing sports or doing some kind of strenuous activity, like for example, dancing at a drag show, it can be really easy for the pump to become dislodged or broken. So you still always need to have backup insulin that you can inject at any time. People with diabetes can also inject themselves several times a day with insulin. Advantages: you're doing it manually, so there's no chance that a machine error is going to cause you not to get your insulin. There's no need for any kind of sensor under your skin. You just have to check your blood sugar manually several times a day and whenever you eat. And there's no need to be hooked up to anything. An insulin pump can actually really cramp your style. But with injections, you can just inject and go. I mean, it's not quite that simple. You still have to carry around your blood sugar testing supplies, but there's nothing attached to you. Disadvantages: it's definitely more needle sticks. Also, while an insulin pump reacts really quickly to changes in blood sugar, because you're just checking your blood sugar manually and not doing it continuously, it's very difficult sometimes to react to changes in your blood sugar levels. And finally, and this is probably the biggest issue, you need two different types of insulin. You need a basal insulin or a long-acting insulin, and that's the insulin that will keep glucagon cat from going crazy. And then you need a short-acting insulin, which is the one you're going to inject with meals and to correct spikes in blood sugar levels. It can get kind of complicated to manage, and I've seen a lot of people mix up the different types of insulins. How does diabetes affect people like diabetes in the long term? Diabetes is a lifelong disease, and it increases the risk for stroke, heart disease, and eye issues, among other things. However, with good blood sugar control, many people with type 1 diabetes live long and healthy lives. So what stops people with diabetes from achieving this? Well, it's complicated. But unfortunately, in the United States, one of the big obstacles is money. Diabetes medications are expensive, and so if you don't have health insurance, if you don't have money, you won't be able to afford your supplies. I've seen a lot of patients come into the hospital just chronically in DKA and very ill, and I know that they're not going to live long and healthy lives. They're likely to go blind, have serious heart conditions, and live pretty miserable lives. And that's one of the things that I wish would change. I'm a big advocate for a single-payer healthcare system where the government takes responsibility for people's medicines and just gives it to them. So much of the spending that we do on healthcare is because people can't afford their medications and get sick and need to come into the hospital, and we have the power to fix that. But I would like to hear what you think about healthcare. I know I have a lot of people in different countries who do have nationalized healthcare systems, and I'm curious what your experience is with that. Beneficiaries of the NHS, sound off, please. How could Drag Race affect Daya and her diabetes? One big thing you need to know is that stress increases blood sugar levels. And I would say that RuPaul's Drag Race is a significant source of stress for the drag queens performing on it.
I feel very attacked!
That being said, I have to imagine that Daya knows her own diabetes really well. She's had it since she was a teenager, and she uses an insulin pump to help control her blood sugar levels, so I think she probably has this under control and knows what to do if her blood sugar goes high or low. And it does look like she came out of Drag Race no worse for wear. Keep slaying, Daya. I'm rooting for you!
I was rooting for us!
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't seen it yet, go watch my video about Willow Pill and her cystinosis. Bye-bye!